This episode specifically is rated R. So if you are not over the age of 18, don't listen to this.
No.
I'm going to need my family to not listen to this episode.
Right.
Yeah. If you're family or friends, this is too much detail and I'm going to need you to skip past this. I love you so much. Thank you for your support. If you choose to go past this point, you were warned. Okay.
Hi, welcome to MetaMoms, a Polyamory podcast. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Taya. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a question we get all the time. How did we meet? We're going to talk about how we met. We're going to talk about coming out. We're going to talk about things we know now that we wish we knew then. We're going to read some cringy old text messages because I have screenshots and why not?
I can give you about 10 reasons why not, but that's okay. This is about sharing.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's all in
fun.
It's all in good fun.
Well, before we met each other, we have to talk about how we even got into the swinging game to begin with.
Right.
So for Tyler and I, we actually had a brief stint of swinging before we got married.
Really quick, the difference between polyamory and swinging. Polyamory is romantic relationships with multiple people, whereas swinging is purely physical relationships with multiple people. So oftentimes it will be an individual or a couple who are just seeking physical activity. A lot of times they do it together or at a club at the same time. It's very different. There's no romantic connections.
So Tyler and I did a brief stint of swinging for about 6 months or so early on in our relationship before we got married. And I'm cringing already because this was before there was apps that helped you connect with other couples or individuals. So we used Craigslist.
How did you even know to do that? I don't think I've ever asked this question. How did you know to do that?
I think Tyler told me that you could do that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Tyler knows so many random facts about the most obscure things.
Mm-hmm.
We should ask him how he knew that.
I don't think you want to know.
Probably not, no. But my idea was, okay, Felicia's horny. We wanted to have a threesome, okay?
Not me immediately cringing after telling you to not.
I'm not defending myself. I wanted to have a threesome. That's how this started, okay?
With a woman?
No. With a guy, but that wasn't working. So then I'm like, well, when I'm drunk, I make out with girls. So maybe a girl threesome would be okay. Maybe I actually am bi-curious.
Wait, your first Craigslist post was in search of a man?
No.
Oh.
I mean, bucket list item for me, I would like to be with 2 men. But hasn't happened.
Put in your applications now.
Yeah.
Put in your applications below. Please don't do that. That's weird.
Please don't.
It's going to be we should have had a drink before this.
Yeah.
Or something.
Which is why I wanted to have a threesome. So I put an ad on Craigslist for Tyler's birthday. I wanted to try and find another girl to have a threesome with. And
do you have a photo of the listing?
Hell no.
Do you remember what it said?
I'm trying to find a woman to have a threesome with me and my boyfriend.
Did you,
No.
Nothing? Just that?
No, I'm sure that there's more in there. And, of course, no
Yes,
pictures.
he's cute.
I'm just like, he's tall. He's handsome. I'm cute. I don't know. I don't remember what all it said.
I can't even imagine.
I know. It's so awkward. I'm not going to put pictures or anything on there, but it's like, in Craigslist, you have to, email. You email.
I had to prove it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It didn't work. So, we ended up just moving on to other couples. Our first experience, we actually went to Pravada. That was the first time we actually had met
before it was Pravada. There's a very popular swingers club in the Portland area, and we are a couple hours from there. We have we've been there together, separately. They went there before it was owned by the people it's owned by now.
Yes. It was Club Sesso at the time, and it was owned by Ron Jeremy. Yeah, we went there for a Halloween party. I was Medusa. Tyler was a Roman soldier. and it was a Halloween party, and I kept on getting confused with Tinkerbell and also a bush, because there was somebody there that was Edward Scissorhands.
I'm a bush.
And
I thought you were with Edward Scissorhands.
Because I was wearing a green
Holy
costume.
shit. Oh, wait. I know you have a picture of the costume.
I do.
You do. We will be adding that in.
Yeah. I have my Medusa costume.
Here it is.
Yes. We ended up hooking up with the bush and Edward Scissorhands.
I can't handle it. I can't handle it.
We got their number. We ended up finding another time that we met up with them. But that kind of like started our 6-month stint.
Sorry, I was laughing about the bush again. Wait, the bush was the girl?
Yes.
Oh, Tyler fucked a bush. I can't. Okay.
And I hooked up with Edward Scissorhands.
Did he paint his face?
Yeah. No, we didn't. That weekend, at the time of meeting,
I know,
we didn't
but you-
actually hook up with them that time.
But you intended.
We did intend. We weren't sure exactly what our intentions were. At the time, we had rules.
There's
Like, we're not going to kiss the other couple.
that is I despise that rule.
Me too.
This is a very common rule
Very
that a lot of
common.
swinger couples have, and it's always one that Sean and I are like, what the that seems backwards.
Right?
Like,
You would think that kissing is more okay than fucking.
and how are you gonna get there? You just gotta
Right? You just do the deed, but
talk, and then you just
whip it out.
go straight there.
No, you would think the kissing
I love
leads
kissing.
to other stuff. Yes, I'm a kisser. I really enjoy that part. And so, yeah, it didn't last long.
It's less that the rule is okay. The rule itself is not realistic in general. Like it's just not. But also a lot of these things, a lot of these rules that are very specific, like no kissing, is like, what are you holding on to? Because kissing is not more intimate than sleeping together.
Right.
Right. So like, where is that coming from? And why is you saying you can't kiss anyone else, but you can sleep with somebody else? Like, how is that perpetuating this like control that you're holding over your relationship?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Like, I would challenge you to dig a little bit deeper on that.
I'm gonna piss some people off here when it comes to swinging, and if you're comfortable in your rules, that's fine. But I'm gonna challenge you a little bit because, and I'm not saying don't have boundaries. Have boundaries. Have all the boundaries. But things like you can't take your partner, you can't take this other person to our special restaurant, or you can't sleep together in our shared bed. Things like that, even though my partner's going to be gone for a week. It's like, why? Why? If it's just to put a rule into place to feel like you have some control, maybe reevaluate. Because they're not going to have the same experience that you are. I mean, you and I know this. If I go to the place, if I go to Cold Stone with Tyler where you had your first date, like, that's not going to change the fact that you had your first. I can never take that away from you. I can never, and we're going to have a completely different experience. So, anyways, random.
And that's something that we have learned over 6 years of being polyamorous in this relationship.
I'm not saying I didn't also have stupid rules. We'll get there.
Yes, and we definitely did not think this at the beginning. We have learned this over time. So we're giving you advice from experience and challenging you on things that we wish we could have given ourselves advice on.
It's just those little like rules that are holding on to control. That's like, if you think that your partner not kissing someone but sleeping with them is gonna do something.
Right. Yeah. But at the time, that was our rule. So we ended up, Tyler and I did stuff together. They did this stuff together. Her and I did a little bit of stuff together. And we were all like in the same room type of thing. So that was like our first experience. We had other experiences. Tyler and I learned that we didn't really like doing stuff with the other couples, like swapping. It just wasn't really our thing. Some people, when you're swinging and you switch partners, will do that in the same room, in the same bed. And like a foursome, yeah. And Tyler and I realized pretty quickly on that was not something that worked well for us. And so our swapping would be in separate rooms. So I would go with the male partner and Tyler would go with the female partner, but we would do it separately. And in some, actually probably in a lot of dynamics, that's not common.
I hadn't done that until we met Tyler and Alicia.
Yeah. And that's something that Tyler and I found out that we kind of had to do in order to be part of that's our style of swinging, because it didn't work out for us.
And there's all sorts of dynamics like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's totally valid. And that's something that Sean and I talked about, but up until we met them, we had always been same room. We'd always been together. That was kind of part of the safety part for me, is like, and part of the whole experience of like wanting to be together was doing it together. But I could see how if that wasn't working, how we would pivot, because we also ended up pivoting quite a few times. So
yeah. So after Tyler and I had experiences with 5 or 6 different couples.
Damn. I'm just joking.
Over 6 months. One couple that they didn't want to swap at all. They just wanted to do stuff like with them and in the same bed and with us in the same bed, and he ended up sucking on my toes, and that was a very interesting experience.
You're gonna piss off the feet people.
No, I liked it. It was very, like I said, it was an interesting experience. I never have had somebody suck on my toes before. That couple we only saw one time. But yes, so after that we were getting closer to our wedding, and I said, you know what? I think maybe it should just be you and I for a little while until we get married.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. I think I was just kind of in my head a little bit where I'm just like, we're getting close to getting married, and I feel like it might have been pressure from like a societal norm.
Yeah.
Of just,
I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
like,
we're getting married. Marriage is in between 2 people. And so because it's between 2 people, this feels wrong almost.
That's
that
awkward.
I know, right? That are,
I mean, it is. It's
yeah. I felt this pressure, like, I'm like almost living this lie type of thing, that we are talking about getting married, and that love's between 2 people, and then we're planning our lives together.
Want same penis forever,
beauty, right?
Everyone's buying you same penis forever, and you're like, I had a different penis last week.
I'm like, dude, you should have seen the one I was with. And
see, all y'all say she's a prude.
I'm not.
Okay, this is why we're here.
We didn't tell anybody. Like, we didn't think that was nobody's business.
Right.
Like, I didn't feel the need to tell anyone. I think we each told one friend, and that was it.
We didn't really tell anybody either when we were just swinging.
Yeah. And at the time, I'm just like, you know what, maybe, like, this was fun. We had fun doing it. It wasn't exactly what we thought it was going to be, with, trying to get that 1 threesome. Never happened. Unicorn hunting is not, which is another term that is used in the swinging community, where it's a couple looking for that one woman that's going to fulfill all your fantasies.
Right.
And
they're not treated as a human or an equal partner.
It's
or
like this
whatever.
Elusive person.
This person that comes in and rocks your world and then leaves, and is supposed to like do all the things that you
fulfill all your sexual fantasies.
Not have any emotion and not have any needs. Right. Don't do that.
No. And and so we decided that, you know what, we're just going to go back to monogamy. And we were exclusively monogamous from probably 3 months before our wedding. Actually, one of the couples that we had been with pretty consistently for a few months, each of the male and female partner went with us on our bachelor and bachelorette parties. So that was like up until a month before we got married, just a few weeks before we got married. And then up until we got on the app and met you guys, when we had been married for 7 years.
What made you circle back?
So after we got married and we started having kids, and I'm just like, you know what, that's just, my focus is on our kids. I wanted to make sure that that was just kind of the focus of our life. And it's exhausting, obviously, being pregnant, having small children, raising them.
There's no way I'd swing pregnant. I mean, more power to you. I know there's people who do, but I
mean, my pregnancies were pretty damn easy, but still, and our kids were, our older two are 17 months apart.
Yeah.
So,
and also like safety-wise, like,
yeah, I got pregnant with Raina when Dylan was 8 months old. I was 8 months postpartum. and then was pregnant again. I'm like, I didn't have time to recover. And then I had 2 babies within 17 months.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm good.
You're like, I don't even want to have sex with you, let alone strangers.
Right. My body was not feeling good. I was not feeling good. It was just not in the stars for me for a long time. And then Tyler went to a porn expo with his friend for a bachelorette party.
Well, at least you made it past the 7-year mark.
That was our 7-year mark.
I know.
That was our anniversary present to each other at 7 years.
Oh, I don't know why people say there's a thing at 7 years. That's so weird.
Weird. No, Tyler went to like this.
Oh my God, Tyler and I are about to be in our 7 years.
What's gonna happen
year,
then?
right?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh. Yeah, so Tyler went to I want to say it was called Erotica. But it's like a porn expo. It was for his friend's bachelorette party. And he came home from it and he was so excited. He's like, you would have loved it. We should go next year. He's like, there was all these different like exhibition, like.
Not his sexual awakening at the porn expo.
He's like, there was tying classes and there was this and that. Like, he was so excited. He's like, you should come with me next year. I'm like,
ADHD'd all over the place.
So hard.
I'm offended that we haven't gone.
Why haven't we gone?
He's never gone, and he's never gone back.
No, the next year was 2020.
I know,
COVID,
but
and then it shut down for who knows how many years. Has it even came back since then?
I'm sure it has.
Because I mean, it's June every year, so we should go.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun.
But at that, and I was just kind of like, well, what do you think about? I'm like, our kids are getting a little bit older. It's like. They do sleepovers with grandparents more often. I don't feel as guilty like leaving them overnight. Like, what do you think about exploring again? It's been, 7 years. And so Tyler ADHD'd all over that again. And he's like, sends me all of these apps. And he's like, look at what they have now. He was so excited. Because he's like, they have all these apps now, and I don't have to do any of the research. If you give Tyler a topic and he wants to hyperfixate on it, you don't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. So he's like, they have this one and this one and this one and this one, and I think that we should choose this one, and here's why. And I've already made a profile, and here is our... No, I told him, yeah, go ahead. And he made a profile, and he's like, wrote up the ad, and Tyler's really articulate when it comes to...
It was funny.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it said, but it made me laugh.
Yep, it was funny. I have a very forward-facing job. I was very, very nervous, and we'll get into this, but very nervous about people seeing me and knowing the lifestyle that I was.
But if they're on there also.
That's what Tyler said too. He's like, if people recognize you on this app and call you out and like put you on blast for being on this app, then they're putting themselves on blast because they're on the app and they only saw you because they were on it as well. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I really don't want them to come up to me and be like, hey, I saw you on that app. I'm like,
I can imagine that if you didn't get any hits early on, that you would maybe reevaluate covering your face in the pictures.
Right. But for my own anxiety and peace of mind, Tyler's like, let's just cover our faces. And that made me feel a lot better about it.
So they had little red dots over their faces.
Yes.
I think I have pictures actually.
I
think that somebody went on there and found them a long time ago. So I'll have to look.
Yeah.
But, which is funny because Sean and I had, obviously I'll backtrack, but Sean and I had a rule that we didn't even entertain people who didn't show their face. Because we were in the Portland area, so there was a lot out there, and we didn't want to either get catfished or have to do the runaround with people who weren't willingly like being open about who they were.
Yeah,
we went against our rule.
But that brings it up to when you guys saw our profile. So I'll let you do your backstory of how you guys got into that moment, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
So Sean and I had been married a couple years, and we'd worked really hard on establishing trust. And, obviously we talked about we have an age gap relationship. I was in my 20s and felt like he had a lot more experiences than I had. And we were watching Shameless, which a lot of people know about. And a lot of you know exactly where I'm going with this, which is that in Shameless, there is a triad or a throuple. I wouldn't say it's glamorized. They definitely have their issues.
Oh, for sure.
Just seeing that relationship on TV sparked conversation in us and, you know, sparked some conversation around what that might look like and if that's something we would be interested in. And I was like, I mean, yeah, especially if I can do it with you. And it feels like a safety net. It felt like a safety net to explore my sexuality because I'm also pansexual, which just means essentially I don't care what gender somebody is or how they identify. I just care that we get along and I think they're attractive. So he wanted to support me exploring my sexuality a little bit. So we also kind of started under that unicorn hunting guise, which is like, you know, oh, we want to look for a female and whatever. We want to look for another woman. And that didn't last long because there's not a lot of them out there. And when we got on the apps, we realized there's not a lot of single women. We actually did end up finding a single woman that didn't work out. But I mean, I guess after a few times it didn't work out. But we only ever found one single woman, and it was after a while. There's a lot of couples out there in comparison. So then we had talked about like, oh, okay, maybe like, is this something we're interested in? And we ended up both really enjoying being in same room. So we went to Pravada a couple times as well after it was Pravada. Really liked the atmosphere. This is not by any means an ad, okay? That would be badass though. But we love the atmosphere. We love the music. It's very clean. It's very,
It's safe.
very inclusive. Like I've seen them throw people out of there who make people feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know, they limit single men who come in and they have a lot of rules around making sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable. And if anything, go to dance. Like it is such a fun vibe.
Oh,
you know, you might see a boob or two. Like it's just fun. And then
there's no phones allowed.
No phones allowed.
You can have complete privacy. Like it's fantastic.
It is a really fun place. And we've gone back there, the four of us, with no intention of hooking up with anybody else multiple times because of the atmosphere and how fun it is. Also, if you're an exhibitionist, like a voyeur, you want to go hook up with your partner in front of people. Like there's nothing that says you have to participate in anything outside of what you want to do.
And they have theme nights too.
Oh, that is one of the best parts. Like you're telling me that I can go to an adult prom in a slutty dress and get laid afterwards? They have theme nights, which are super fun. They do like little black dress. They do like a neon party. They do a New Year's party. There's all kinds of things. So we really enjoy going there. We went there initially. I don't know if we were on the apps yet or not, but that was kind of our first move and got to kind of like check things out and see how things worked. And we were on the apps and talking to people, and there's a lot of flakiness in the swinger lifestyle. So we had a couple different experiences, but ultimately it was like 6 months maybe before meeting Tyler and Alicia. So it wasn't a ton of time that we were in the lifestyle before falling in love, which is totally fine with me. I actually, honestly, before meeting them, had just had a conversation with Sean where I was like, I'm getting a little bit burnt out on the small talk side of it. Because there's so much flakiness, there's a lot of started conversations that don't ever go anywhere. The guy will be talking a lot, and it's like, he's like, oh yeah, my wife's really interested, but she's never really around, doesn't really interact. And it's like, okay, there's a lot of people who will just try and get like pictures and things like that. So definitely do your research. If you're looking into lifestyle, there's a lot of ways to get catfished or get flaked on. And also, I'll probably say this again, but get tested. Okay, get tested. Be safe. You know, a lot of people think that the swinging community is disgusting and filthy when in reality, the rate of STDs is lower than the general public because they are adamant about safe sex and getting tested.
And Tyler and I, we were not, I mean, I'll just be honest about this. The first time around, we did not realize the rules about getting tested, and somebody gave us something, and then I had to tell everybody else that we had something.
And now I really enjoy giving Tyler shit about it, even a billion years later.
And luckily,
and I wasn't even there.
Antibiotics kicked that out of the system real quick.
No, literally like 2 weeks ago, he said something about it's dripping, and I was like, you would know. And he was like, I will never. He said, I cannot believe. He's like, how rude. And I was like, it's too easy. You got an STD. That's hilarious. I'm sorry. It's not like it was life-threatening. He's like, it wasn't that.
I was mortified
I'm
when
sure
I
you
went to the
were. I
doctor
would
and
also
found
be
out. I'm like,
mortified.
what the fuck? Who gave
Did you
me
have
that?
to then tell your doctor?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, so we were always in the same room, so it felt very safe, and it felt like something we did together. We were on the apps. We came across Tyler and Alicia, and they had little red dots over their face. And I don't remember the exact conversation, but I do remember seeing that he was 6'5", and I do remember saying that you were Sean's body type. I was like, but I mean, like, they look like our type in everything but the face. Like, he's real tall, and she's got a... I said, maybe we just match them. Maybe we just see if we match. And if they don't send us pictures right away, then we won't worry about it. We won't, we'll just move on. They did. They sent pictures right away.
Yeah, it was immediate. As soon as we matched with somebody, we didn't mind sending the pictures. I just didn't want to put them on our public profile for anybody to be able to see.
And at some point, we moved to a group chat.
Pretty immediately. Because on the app, you could only chat with whoever you had the profile with. So it was like, I think it was Tyler and Sean or something that were first immediately chatting.
Yes. Because I was kind of burnt out, so I wasn't checking the app. And I told Sean, I was like, you can kind of start a conversation, or if we match with anyone interesting, then let me know, and then I'll kind of hop on.
Yeah.
And because I just needed to take a step back. I am not a social person, so going out and continually like meeting new people and having the small talk and continuously being like, hi, I'm Taya, and I, like having these conversations was exhausting to me. Probably mixed with whatever else we had going on. And so I was like, I need a break from this. It's not that I didn't have fun, but I just was like, this is not, I can't have these conversations that die out and don't go anywhere over and over again.
And I'm notorious for leaving people on red and not responding to shit. So
I don't think we've ever said out loud the guys were the ones chatting initially.
Yeah.
And then...
But it was pretty quick before we exchanged phone numbers.
Yes, but that's still really funny.
Yeah. Because I told Tyler, I'm like, you take the lead on this. I'm also way too trusting in people. So Tyler's much more suspicious and could vet people better than me. So there was a few different people that we kind of like, okay, their profiles seem interesting. We'll match with them. And one of them was like the same sort of thing where it was a guy who said, oh, I talked to the couples first, and then I like will get a feel for them before my wife comes into the conversation. And I just got a weird feeling about it, and I'm just like,
which like that exists, right?
It does, but it was also multiple days worth.
Yeah, see, that's too much. So like I would never leave Sean to have conversations for days, and like I still had the app on my phone. I was still like kind of in and out, but I wanted him to kind of like ask the general questions that would vet them enough to know if I should put energy into these people, rather than me just, what's your favorite color? Because I was tired of small talk.
Yeah. But we started talking on a Monday and moved to text pretty darn quickly, the four of us into a group chat.
That day, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, like within an hour probably. Exchanging pictures, definitely had initial like physical attraction through pictures and stuff. We were talking for multiple days, and we had plans to meet up and have dinner the following weekend. The following Saturday, which was...
We clicked better than, at least for Sean and I, like, even in our text conversations, we clicked better than we had clicked with anybody else.
It was really interesting because, like, Taya and Tyler, we, like, found really, like, have a lot of similarities, and Sean and I had a lot of similarities. We're like, are you guys the same people? Are Sean and I the same?
It was just really easy conversation and like fun, and our banter was so good. And between the four of us, there was only one group chat. We didn't do any individual messaging at all, even though they were swapped. And Sean and I had talked about that, and I don't remember the conversation. It was more like, you know, do you want to try this? Because this is the only thing that they do. I think initially we're like, you know, maybe there's an occasion where they'll try this, or we try this and see how it goes. Obviously, we weren't planning on falling in love. Okay, right. We were just like, you know, let's try this thing. But I hadn't been with a whole lot of people who by myself in a room, and definitely not a stranger without my husband there, which sounds really weird. But I was like, I don't know how to do this. I had a long-term high school boyfriend, and I had other flings, but nothing like sleeping with essentially a stranger.
Yeah,
by myself
that you had been talking to for like 5 days. Yeah.
It was a little scary, which can be kind of fun. It worked out for me, but be safe.
We had plans to meet Tyler and I already had a babysitter for the kids. So we had plans to drive most of the way up to Portland and meet for dinner. We didn't want to be presumptuous. So we're like, okay, we'll meet for dinner. So we were hoping that the chemistry was like just as magnetic in person as it was through text message, and that we could get, you know, a room for the night after that. But then
somebody
like 2 days before, the day before, decided they were gonna flake on us.
We were not flakers, okay?
But since we were talking earlier about how it's notorious that people flake in the swinging community,
we had something come up, okay? And I know about the notorious flakiness, and I was like, I don't want to lose them. I like them a lot. I hadn't genuinely really, sorry if anybody who I slept with sees this, but like I hadn't genuinely really connected with anybody that I was this excited about in a while. And so I was like, I need to cancel or change our plans, but I really didn't want them to be like, well, you know, we're just not going to move forward. So I was like, please don't think we're flakes. Like I had no control over this, because my best friend, it was Gay Liberation, which is an annual event in Portland. Initially, he had plans to go, and Sean and I weren't going to go because we didn't want to spend the money on the tickets. Well, my best friend called me and was like, hey, surprise, I got you tickets to the event. And it was on the night that we were supposed to meet with them, I think the following night. And I was like, no. I was so upset. Grateful, but also, you know, I was like, I don't want them to, and they live 2 hours away. So it was a whole thing, right?
And that was our anniversary night, and we had a babysitter, and we're just like,
and my best friend couldn't get the money back for the tickets. Like it was a perfect storm of things. I think you guys invited yourselves.
Yeah. So they told us this, and Tyler and I talked about it, and we're just like, okay, we don't think that they're flaking on us. We don't think they're just coming up with an excuse.
Because I was like, please don't think that I'm doing this.
They're like, Tyler and I were sitting there talking about it, and I was telling him, like, I don't feel like, I 100% feel like they're being honest. I don't feel like they're flaking on us. They wouldn't be saying this and coming up with an excuse. Like, I don't get that vibe from them at all whatsoever. But this event sounds really cool, and we're going out anyways. It's not that much further than where we were already planning on going. Would it be awkward if we like asked if we could go too? Because it sounds like a fun event. And I guess I'm like, the worst they're going to do is tell us no. And so we even said that in there, like, it's okay if you tell us no about this, but like, is it okay if we come too? Oh my God,
I was so excited.
So we invited ourselves.
Excited. I think that had crossed my mind, but like the idea of, because we were going to meet halfway.
Yeah.
We were going to meet halfway. We didn't have a place to stay originally. It's not like they weren't going to be there anyways kind of thing. So I wasn't going to be like, oh, just come with us, because that would be me asking you to book a room, like buy tickets, like all that stuff. And so when they offered to buy tickets, I was like, hell yeah, if that's actually something. And so then there was like this mutual, we're making it happen. Everybody's very interested, obviously.
And then we booked an Airbnb as well. The dungeon.
We lovingly nicknamed it the dungeon because it was a split level house where
In the basement.
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
there was a basement entrance and it was the basement of a house. So there was people this is terrible.
It really is.
There was people living upstairs and we
Yeah.
were just being dirty heathens downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, you know, the door was shut and it was a completely separate thing.
Yeah.
But I guess it's no different than an apartment, but ew. And there was a main room and then a bedroom, I think.
There's 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 bedrooms and then like a main.
And a main area and a
Yeah.
and a bathroom.
Mm-hmm. A really cool bathroom, actually. I remember the shower.
I just remember getting there. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but I remember getting there and it was so fucking awkward.
So awkward.
It was so awkward. So we were driving there. I mean, we're really excited.
So excited. The butterflies were like, I had
'Cause
full
we
on
had been
bats
talking
in my stomach.
Bats. Because we had been talking, it was only a week, but we'd been talking essentially nonstop. Like,
Constantly.
24/7. And
exchanging pictures, just
were we
flirting.
only in the group chat at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were all in the same group chat.
A lot of sexual tension.
No individual conversation. I mean, we all knew what we were there for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we drove to meet them at the Airbnb before the event. I remember Tyler being so cute. He was like, is it okay if we go? Like, we're straight. I don't want to encroach. I don't want to take up space here if this is not meant for me. And I was like, but the thing about Pride is it's meant for everybody. Like, that's great. But he was like, I'm from a small town. Like, I care a lot, but I want to do the right thing. Almost a little too much. Like, was very concerned.
Yes,
and
we're allies, and it's okay to be an ally and be at Gay Liberation.
Well, yeah, and he was just like, I just want to make sure that this is like okay for me to be here because I identify as queer. And so he was like, I'm straight. I was done for. That was it for me. It was adorable.
It was so cute.
But I remember getting to the Airbnb and it was so awkward. I just remember us all standing around like.
It's like you meet each other for the first time and it's just like, okay, I'm going to give you a hug, but it's like, I'm not going to kiss you as soon as I see you. But okay, let's have a drink. Try and break the ice. Like, you could play a drinking game or something.
What were we waiting for?
We were just hanging out for a bit before we went to Gay Liberation because it wasn't time for it to start yet. And so then we got a Uber and we went together. We went to Gay Liberation. And Tyler's tall. He was in the front seat and I was sandwiched in the back between you and Sean.
I was so nervous.
I was nervous too because I'm just like, I'm probably gonna make out with her at some point during the night, and I haven't kissed Sean yet, and so we went to Gay Liberation for a bit, and it was so awkward too because we're just like, okay, who's gonna kiss first? I could tell like that Sean wanted to kiss me. I could tell that Tyler and Taya like that there was that tension there, like who's gonna do it? And then Sean like looks at me and he's like, I wonder who's gonna kiss first. He's like, I really want to kiss you. And I looked over and they're making out.
I was like, we didn't talk about this at all. We like got there, we got drinks, we took pictures together. And we took pictures together and I think you guys got back in line for another drink.
Maybe, because the line was super long.
And then Tyler and I were dancing. And then we started kissing.
And by the time when Sean and I came back, like we looked over and you guys were kissing and Sean's like, oh, okay. And then kissed me.
We had no idea they were like waiting for us to like make sure it was okay.
Yeah. I think he was like nervous, I guess, to make the first move.
I don't know.
Yeah. Then we weren't at Gay Liberation for a whole heck of a lot longer. No. And then
once we started kissing, I was ready to leave.
Yeah. So, but by the end of the night, by the next morning, we decided like we were already making plans for the next weekend. Like the connection definitely was just as strong in person as it was through text messages. And we're like, you know what? There's already plans for next weekend. We have time off. Like, can we already see you guys again? And the schedules were going to work out, and Shantea were going to come down to our house 2 hours away the next weekend.
Yeah.
And it was like we already knew then that this felt different than our other experiences.
Yeah, very intense.
Mm-hmm.
We came back, we did our things in separate rooms, and then we went back, right? We didn't actually sleep. We didn't actually sleep together. We eventually went to bed with our spouses. Yeah, I just remember not wanting it to end because we really enjoyed each other's company, both together and separately. Afterwards, we're hanging out in bed talking, and he like had his arm out almost for me to lay on, and I was like, I don't want to cuddle you.
Yeah. Well, Sean said something about like, are we gonna sleep next to each other, or? And I'm like, no. I'm like,
that was one thing that was weird to navigate.
Yeah, because I'm just like, I've never slept next to somebody else that's
also
not
I don't know you.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm a light sleeper. I sleep with white noise on. Oh my gosh, the first time that we actually spent the night with the opposite person, like I think it was the following weekend. And that was more.
No.
It wasn't.
It was a while.
Did we not?
It was unnecessarily long.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember. But
it was a while.
Did I read a book to go to sleep at night? Do you realize how long it took me to tell Sean that I need to read a book before I go to sleep at night?
No.
Because I was so awkward, and I don't know why, but I'm just like, it wasn't that I was embarrassed, but I was also like, okay, people cuddle to go to sleep. And so I would force myself to cuddle for a very long time, and he would obviously be asleep, and I'm just staring at the wall, just wide awake. And I'm like, this is not how I sleep. I don't cuddle.
Oh, no.
I like to cocoon on my side of the bed.
Yeah.
And I read a book to fall asleep, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with you. Like, I appreciate you, and but I like my space, and I like my book, and I'm gonna bring a book, and I'm gonna read so I can go to sleep. Yeah. Which I feel like is an old married thing to do, but also like, these are my sleep habits, and I need to do this to go to sleep.
Right. I guess the thing is, at the end of the day, like, sleep isn't intimate thing. There was quite a few weeks where, like, when we were there the next weekend, I think that we were all up until like 3:00 in the morning and didn't actually go back to our married spouses until like 3:00 in the morning. And it was always a thing of like, are you ready to switch yet? Like, when are we gonna do that? Like, it was awkward. Weird and kind of annoying, because like I would be comfortable and like falling asleep. Yeah, it just like, what were we doing?
Yeah, like why
can we just go to sleep? Because we were so desperately trying to hold on to it just being physical. We would lay there and talk and get along great, but also I'd be like moving away from Tyler, because not that he was trying, that's not what I mean. I remember explicitly thinking, is this what people do? He's just yapping, and I'm like, is this what people do? Is this normal? Am I supposed to be cuddling him? I just remember having all the thoughts of like, I don't really want to cuddle you, bro. Like, we joked for the longest time. We called each other, well, bro slut was the thing. Bro slut. We joked about bumping fists and like high-fiving after we were done, because we were just I think denial. That was me. I think I was me. I think I was putting a wall between us. And it's not because I was afraid of liking him or anything. I just thought that was the thing to do. I don't know. Like, we got along really well and we liked each other a lot, but I wasn't going to fall for him. That's not the thing. We weren't there to fall for each other.
And when it's so different than any other experience that you've had.
I really didn't know what I was supposed to do. Right. I didn't know if I was supposed to cuddle him. I didn't know if that was okay. I didn't know. And because I'd never been with a stranger who I had slept with before. And so I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing here. Right. And then like a few days in, a few times after we'd hung out, like 3 or 4, he like was talking to me and he got all teary-eyed, which looking back, he does that all the time. But I was like, oh, we're like friends. Because he was like confiding in me about something, and I was like, I don't know about all this. I was very wary. And that makes it sound like he was like trying. He wasn't. He was just being himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing anything wrong. It's just.
That's just Tyler.
He had done it before. He wasn't worried about me laying on his arm or something because, well, we had just, we're done. I would just like get up and go sit across the room because.
And Sean and I would just like lay there and talk.
Yeah. And we talked a lot. That was probably our downfall.
Yeah. Just the talking. And Sean and I, and it was probably a good few weeks into it that we decided that, not that we needed to have separate conversations, but with the way that our work schedule worked. And I think that this is really what it came down to when it came to having separate conversations or having separate means to having conversations.
Well, because we didn't talk about how we split it up originally.
Yeah.
But we were like, we want to be able to talk individually.
Yeah, but the way that honestly, I think it was the way that our work schedule worked, because Sean worked a job where it's like he had an hour that he could talk and an hour that he couldn't, and went back and forth. Tyler worked a job where he can't have his phone most of the time, except for when he's on break or lunch. Taya and I had more flexibility in when we could have our phones. So Tyler would come back to the conversation, a group conversation, and have to catch up on 100 messages. And so he couldn't contribute to the conversations where questions are being asked. He's missing things. He has 15 minutes and he can barely read through all the text messages in that time, yet alone respond to anything. So then he doesn't really have a chance to contribute and talk specifically to Taya during that time. So Sean is, and always has been, kind of like a problem solver and a leader when it comes to like finding solutions and stuff.
He's a good thought partner in terms of
coming up with those types of solutions. He's type A. Him and I both are. And so he's just like, okay, well, how about 2 of us talk through in our group chat and 2 of us talk on Snapchat,
so that we could all still see the conversations if we wanted to. Yeah. But they were separate conversations.
Yeah. So Taya and Tyler could talk in Snapchat. Sean and I would still have access to it so that we could see the conversation and contribute if we wanted to. If there's something in there that we're just like, oh, that's funny, haha, I want to, either contribute or acknowledge or respond. And then vice versa, Sean and I would stay in the text message chat type of thing. But also, because we are still in the like trust building phase too, and so new in the relationship, well, in that situationship, it wasn't really a relationship at the time.
We didn't know what we were doing.
We didn't know what was right or wrong or how to navigate the situation. So we're just like, let's keep everything above board. Let's make sure that, nothing's...
We weren't ready we weren't ready to go from a complete group chat to separate conversations. It felt very scary, I think.
Yes. And it's not that I didn't trust Tyler. It's not that Taya didn't trust Sean or anything like that. It was just that, when that is so new, it's scary. It can be really scary to be like, oh, my husband's having a conversation with another woman and I have no idea what's being said. Until you learn how to deal with your emotions and how to overcome jealousy and work through all of your feelings, that can be a very scary emotion. So to avoid that, have access to it. And that's how we navigated that piece of it. And over time, I realized I didn't want to read everything that was being said in those conversations. So I could choose not to read it if I didn't want to. And that was something that I could choose for myself. Sean could choose for herself. All 4 of us could choose whether or not we wanted to actually read it or what extent we wanted to read the conversation.
Right.
And I felt like that gave us a little bit more power too over your own emotions, because then, you're either punishing yourself by reading everything or choosing a healthier path and not reading everything if you do realize that you're getting triggered by certain things that are being said in there, explicit or not, type of thing. So again, that's reflection, and I can see that now. Did I recognize that in that moment? Not always. Was I always healthy about it? No, definitely not. But I know that now, and I can reflect on that now. So that's probably advice I would give myself now if I could look back on my past self and say that. But that's how we navigated that at the time.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a good stepping stone, at least in our situation.
It felt obvious at the time. And now I'm like, ooh, that's problematic. Because at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, we're trusting our partners to have these conversations and build relationships. We didn't know what this was going towards. This was out of the norm. Normally, when we were meeting people that we were going to be physical with, we weren't having lengthy conversations with them over weeks and weeks and weeks. This was more than that. So I want to say, like, looking back, we probably knew right away that it was more than just a swinging situation, because we were talking so much and we enjoyed each other's company and we enjoyed these conversations and we had a lot in common, and eventually those relationships were building more and more. And it felt, I remember, I don't know who brought it up, but I remember feeling like, okay, I want to like have these honest conversations with Tyler, but I don't have any privacy. Like, what if I want to share something vulnerable with him that I'm not ready to share with Alicia? And, you know, because her and I didn't put any intention into our relationship at all.
Yeah, because every time that we would see each other.
Huge misstep.
Yeah. But every time that we would see each other, we then would go in separate directions. So Taya's and my relationship was very, very surface level because we spent so much time in our other partners.
Yeah, and everything we knew about each other was from our partners, which sometimes that can be hard, especially when someone's confiding in you if they have a hard day or something. And I'm hearing, I mean, that's not what was happening. That does happen like later, and that's something we've navigated elsewhere. But it's just hard. That's not how to truly get to know someone. And that's something that I definitely would have done differently looking back, is putting more intention, especially knowing that we eventually moved in together. Like, we moved in together way too soon for where our relationship was at and where the guy's relationship was at. And Alicia and I really struggled because of it. Like, because we didn't know each other. We still learn. We're so different that we still learn how to navigate, you know, each other and the way our brains work and how we communicate and all that stuff. It's all very nuanced to our own personalities. But I remember feeling like, okay, I want some autonomy here. I want to be able to share something that I'm not sharing with the entire group. And it's not because it's a secret. It's just because I want to be able to be vulnerable, or I want to, you know. And so we did eventually move to separate, just regular texting or whatever, and then just kind of had an open phone policy. At least that's what Sean and I did. And Sean and I are really communicative. Like, we, you know, Alicia doesn't want to hear the details. We're the complete opposite, where we'd be driving home and just like sharing everything that happened for the 2-hour drive, which was fun. It was just nice to be connected, like reconnect that way after we would kind of be separate for a day or two.
Yeah. And I feel like the starting of like catching feelings and stuff was like, okay, the more we were talking, the more we were chatting, like Sean and I started talking separately. Like, we were talking on the phone sometimes. And there was like one time I was talking on the phone with him, and I told him, like, I think I might have been like the first one out of all four of us to kind of convey these feelings, where I'm just like, this feels like more. Like, the amount that I talk to you, like, it feels like you're my boyfriend.
And we have some pictures. Like, I know I have a picture of sitting there just like blushing and giggling at my phone when Tyler was texting me. And so we were definitely seeing things where it's like, oh, you're smiling when you're talking about them, or like, it definitely started to snowball into something more.
And Sean, like, after I conveyed that, I'm just like, I feel like you're my boyfriend. He's like, well, it feels like you're my girlfriend. So it was like the feeling was mutual. And then Sean and I were kind of like, we identified those feelings. And then we also were able to identify that we thought that Taya and Tyler were denying those feelings for each other. And it's like almost like Sean and I had to parent trap Taya and Tyler into admitting their feelings for each other.
Yeah, I mean, they were encouraging. Yes. You know, it was definitely not a trickster situation, but
no, we didn't force
them. I think the thing is, like, you were having conversation about, like, they like each other, right? And yeah, obviously, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I vividly remember Sean being like, you love him, you like him, maybe not love, you like him. And I was like, no, I don't, stop it. Like, we're in middle school and he's like, you do, you like him. And I was like, no, I don't. Yes, I did. I did.
It was just, you guys denied it for a little bit longer because it's a scary situation. Like, it's hard to sit there and admit.
I didn't want to like him.
Yeah, you're married, you're in that societal norm relationship. How can you be married, in love with somebody, and like somebody else and have those feelings for someone else?
For me, it was less societal norms and more giving somebody else power over me by telling them that I had feelings for them.
Okay.
Like, for me, it came from a place of, I don't want to open up to somebody else who's married, by the way, who I don't know what the fuck is happening. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if this is even allowed. And I don't want to give him any power by saying, I like you. And it's not because I didn't trust him. It's just scary. It's scary to start a new relationship if you're monogamous. So there was the normal do we not of a relationship with these added layers of, we're also married, we're also going against societal norms, we also don't know shit about polyamory, we also don't, like, what do?
We didn't even know what polyamory was.
Right. So,
like, honestly, I didn't.
I mean, we had seen it in Shameless slightly, but I remember vividly telling Sean early on, I was like, I could see how that works for some people. I don't think that's something I'd be interested in, because I liked our space. I definitely could see how it worked, but that wasn't something I was wanting to pursue.
And that's why our relationship is so interesting, because it's nothing that any of us set out to do. It's something that developed very naturally without any of us. This was not our intention at all whatsoever.
We were never following a blueprint. We were just following our hearts and the connection we'd made. And
and I I didn't have to give Tyler permission, but I almost like encouraged Tyler in a way where I'm just like, it's okay to
constant reassurance.
Yeah, constant reassurance, and like letting him know that I was going to be okay with him liking someone else, because I knew that it didn't mean that he loved me any less. I think I was almost convincing myself at the same time.
Well, he was doing that for himself. Like, that text message, I can't pull it up, I realized, because my phone's up there.
Oh.
Even the text message where I have screenshotted, where he finally admitted that he had feelings for me, for more than a friend. And even in that message, like, I read it now. At the time, I was like, oh my God, this is the cutest thing ever. And I read it now and I'm like, ew, this is sad. Because in the message where he's telling me he has feelings for me, he literally is like, Alicia's my wife and she's always going to come first and all this stuff. And I'm like,
why is that necessary?
That is implied. And him and I had a lot of conversations about that, actually, because he would almost like he had to convince himself. And I'm like, you don't have to tell me. I'm aware. Like, I have a husband. I'm aware. And I'm not trying to, I don't think he was trying to convince himself. I think he genuinely was trying to hold boundaries and was scared and didn't want to cross any boundaries, didn't want to hurt anybody, and also had feelings for me and also had feelings for her. And so it's just complicated. But in the moment he sent that message and it was like, oh, finally we admitted our feelings for each other. And in that he's like, Alicia will always come above you, which is like, yeah, like I said, in the moment I was like, oh, that's so nice. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, that's icky.
Yeah.
Considering what I do and what I feel about polyamory. And the thing is that dynamic might work for some people. Probably not a lot. But that dynamic of like being secondary might work for some people. But ultimately, one of the biggest things that's changed my view as far as my view of polyamory and having multiple partners and hierarchy overall, which I'm sure we're going to get into more than a few times. But we maintained a hierarchy, and I don't think this episode is already getting really long, and I think we're going to have to split it up a little bit. But Initially, we were really dead set on maintaining hierarchy of our spouses being the primary. And, you know, we shared houses with them. They had kids together. Like, we had a life together. And then we'd go see our other partners on the weekends and never did life together. And that also created issues of jealousy. Oh, you get to clock out on Saturday night and be with your girlfriend, and you don't have to talk about bills, and you don't have to talk about kids, and you don't have to talk about this and that.
Yeah, you only get to do fun stuff with your girlfriend. You don't actually have to do the hard stuff. So, of course, it's more fun to do things
and
with your
a
girlfriend.
lot of jealousy came up around that for everybody at one point or another, and which is valid. I literally was just a fun time that showed up on the doorstep and then left, you know, and there's insecurity that came from that from me. I really struggled with the insecurity of knowing that I was never gonna be. And it's not that I wanted to. It's just that I didn't want the constant like, I don't need to be constantly reminded. I don't need to be constantly told. And he didn't do it constantly, but like at the time, that's what it felt like.
Right.
Like, you said it. I know we've all agreed on this. We've agreed on keeping a hierarchy. So you don't have to remind me. Like, I got it. Thank you. I haven't thought about that in a long time, but I remember that being a conversation. Where I was going with that is my view on polyamory itself has changed, and hierarchy has changed primarily because you can have completely different expectations, completely different roles. You can have a completely different relationship without putting a hierarchy on it, where I've experienced having 2 live-in partners and a long distance girlfriend. Obviously my expectation, and we'll talk about her, don't worry. Don't worry. My expectations and my role and my, like, what I get from my long distance girlfriend is completely different than my partners who I share a home with. And there are 2 sides to, oh, you get to be the fun, like, you don't have to do life with them. Well, what if I want to do life with you? Well, I'm feeling insecure because I don't get to do life with you. And then there's the other side of like, well, you don't ever have to talk about bills and kids. So, you know, there's really insecurity that can come from both sides.
Yeah.
But my view on hierarchy is more like, if you name expectations, and maybe you don't want a partner that you see every day or you talk to every day or you're everything for them. Maybe you want a partner who is an outlet in very specific ways. And so there is, in my mind, a consensual hierarchy in terms of if that's what you want and need. To me, hierarchy is not, so in this situation, I'm going to always show up for Sean, and I'm not going to show up for Tyler when he has a hard day because Sean's my husband. If I have capacity, I'm still going to show up for Tyler, regardless.
Yeah. And I think Tyler put it in perspective for me one time when he was talking about, like, okay, if Taya had a flat tire and I needed to go, but it's my night with you type of thing, and Taya has a flat tire, like, I'm still going to go help her with a flat tire. I'm like, well, yeah, of course. I don't need you to not go help her because it's your night with me. Like, that seems silly. Like, I know that you're still my husband and you're still married to me, and it takes nothing away from me for you to go help somebody.
I mean, maybe some time, but you want him to show up for...
Yes, I want you to show up for your partner in need, regardless of if it's your night with me or not. Like, that to me kind of like should be a no-brainer. Like, that...
Unfortunately, it's not.
The hierarchy piece out of it. It's just, to me, that's just being a decent human being and doing the right thing, regardless of whose night it is or the situation. Like, that is just showing up and helping the person who is in need.
Right. And that's a lot easier to maintain when you don't share a home together. So, like, they had their life, their home, their jobs, their kids. We had our life, our home, our jobs, our kids. No, we didn't have kids. Our life, our home, our job, our pets. That doesn't mean that Tyler's not going to show up for me midweek if I'm not there, you know? So, yeah, I think a lot of when we were desperately trying to hold on to this hierarchy was just trying to protect our marriages. And ultimately it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
in my opinion.
It took a little for me to understand. Like, I definitely had insecurity, and insecurity is going to be a whole nother episode at some point too, when you're working through these feelings and stuff, for me to realize that just because Tyler had, at the time we were starting to label each other as like girlfriend, boyfriend, you know, we started developing, realizing that this is more than just swinging. We're in a relationship. We're polyamorous. I don't remember if it was Taya or Tyler who found the definition of quad, and we are just like...
It was a Snapchat story, Love Don't Judge Snapchat story, where this girl was dating 3 guys and they were a quad. And they were raising a baby together, and it was a whole thing. Yeah,
and then I saw another one that
I was like, is this us?
That was 2 couples that had met.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them had 2 kids already. And there were 2 married couples that were together. And we're like, this is literally us. And they were...
Are we a quad?
Yeah.
We're a quad. Are we a quad?
We're a quad.
And everyone's texting, we're a quad! We're a quad!
We're a quad. And then our group chat got changed to the quad. And now we were a quad. So we're having all these relationships and stuff. And I'm like, I'm in my head and I'm wondering, what's going to stop Tyler from running away with Taya? And I'm like, there's no reason. There is nothing that gives me any indication that Taya and Tyler are just going to run off into the sunset together. Mm-hmm. Except for my wild imagination and insecurities that...
And he's like, why would I do that? I could have both.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm married to you. We have kids together. Like, why would I do that? I'm like, I don't know, but you might.
When people are struggling with that, what comes to my mind is like, and this is ultimately the hard truth, right? He loves, we're using Tyler as an example, he loves us both, and in this scenario gets to have both relationships with both of us. So why would he run off with one or run off with me in this scenario? And the hard truth is that if somebody does decide to run off, which it happens.
It does.
We personally know quite a few people
we know
who it's happened to. Sometimes you open up your relationship, you explore swinging, you explore polyamory, and they meet somebody else, and you meet somebody else, your partner meets somebody else, and they choose to end your relationship. In my mind, sure, you could blame polyamory. The chances that something else was going to come along and end the relationship anyways, or the chances that they were going to be unfaithful, or the chances that they were going to be unhappy. Clearly there was something not working.
There's already something wrong in the relationship.
Or they discovered it after, right? If somebody chooses to run away from a polyamorous relationship or a swinging situation to be with one person and to be monogamous, that's what they're meant to do. Am I saying that's right? No. But if they choose to run away and be monogamous with somebody else, they're probably not polyamorous.
Yeah, they probably were never meant to be polyamorous.
And that relationship probably would have ended eventually anyways.
Yes.
So I don't know. And that's a tough truth, right? Yeah. But like, it's kind of the let them thing. Like, if they're gonna run away, good riddance, you know? And that's scary. It's scary to open the door for that. But if you truly know that he loves you in this scenario, you truly know your partner loves you, you can have both. And you know that I'm not coming in, because there are people, I mean, cowboys, cowgirls that come in. Those are people who come in and they try and steal away somebody's partner. And you know, they want them to be monogamous for themselves. And that's horrible. That's horrible. But that was never my intention.
Yeah. And I
didn't want that. I have a husband.
Yeah. And once I realized and got a little bit more security and wrapped my head around some things and realized, I'm just like, Tyler loves me. We didn't get into this relationship because we had a problem with our own relationship. And there is no reason why he would be leaving me to go and be monogamous with somebody else. So why am I spending my days worrying about this? And once I got my head wrapped around that, I'm just like, oh.
Here's the thing. And I get it, because you didn't know or trust me. And that also was part of why that was such a big misstep, is that if we would have put more intention into our relationship, there probably would have been less insecurity, because trusting me helps you trust that this is okay, that I'm not going to steal him away, that that's not my intention, that I want the best for your relationship, those kind of things. So obviously if you would have built trust with me earlier on, that would have helped. But also it would have helped you see that if Tyler were to not be loyal to you and even infer that he wanted to just be with me or whatever, I don't want any part of that.
Right.
Because you're now disloyal. You're now, like, part of the reason why I love him is because of his loyalty. So, like, it's like this super nuanced situation where, and I think that's what it comes down to, is I'm polyamorous. Like, that's what it comes down to, is that I truly in my heart I love him and I want what's best for him, and what's best for him is to be able to love both of us. Like, and there's benefits for me too, and that it's not like, oh, I'm not getting anything out of this. But truly, if he wouldn't have been as loyal as he is and was, I wouldn't have fallen in love with him.
Yeah, that's one of the attractive traits about him.
Right. Like, he's never, and it's not that he's gonna stay even though he's unhappy. It's that he's gonna put in the work to make sure he's happy, you know, and he's gonna, so all of those things are reasons why I loved him. And if he were to go against that, it would have affected my relationship with him. And obviously that's not everybody. Obviously not everybody's going to experience that. Some people need to win. They need to be the only one. They need that to be validated. I'm not saying I never had feelings, okay? We're gonna get there, okay? But that's part of the reason why I loved him. And I could say that until I was blue in the face, but maybe it takes 6 years and us still being here to realize that he's not going anywhere, you know?
Yeah. And it took a lot of, like, reassurance from him towards me, saying, he's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not just gonna run off with my new shiny girlfriend that I just fell in love with and I have new relationship energy with, which
scary
is terrifying, because it's been a long time since Tyler and I had new relationship energy, and seeing that and having that, watching that happen right in front of my eyes, even though I had the new relationship energy with Sean, but every dynamic, every relationship,
you know what's going on for you in your head.
Yes.
The other thing is, I knew every thought that Sean was having about you and your relationship, and that didn't feel good for you to hear. So you were filling in the blanks with your own thoughts and your own conclusions, and filling in the story yourself, because it didn't feel good to hear the truth. But sometimes our minds can be worse. I'm not saying that's, like, parallel polyamory is valid, and I think that you've done a good job of holding those boundaries, but it makes you wonder how much of your insecurity was built up by not knowing.
Well, and it took a long time for me to establish that boundary too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I didn't have that boundary in place during the beginning. So I was still hearing all of the intimate details until well into living together. And so I didn't start really establishing that and putting that boundary in place and realizing that that was something that was triggering me until later on. Which
is so valid, considering Tyler and I started exploring things that were new to everybody that you weren't interested in.
Yeah.
So that's like such a complicated thing to work through, because you didn't want a part of that, and we were, like, excited by it, you know, so it's like,
and it was interesting because then, oh man, I can't even go into that because that's a whole new episode of, like, now you have the conversation of, you and Sean's relationship and how much you guys talk about things and how I don't like to talk about things. But then Sean and I have our own relationship, and he has feelings about certain things, but he can't talk to me about those things because I don't know what's going on because I've chosen not to talk about those things. But so Sean may have feelings and want to talk to me, but he can't talk to me. And so now we have these multiple layers of conversations and relationships that almost can't cross over.
Hi, we're back on a different day with better lighting. We didn't think we were going to need a part 2, but evidently we had a lot to say. And my phone battery had other plans for us. So we're going to pick up where we left off in our timeline in episode 3.
Because we have much more to say. Thank you for listening to our story told our way. If you loved it, please share it with somebody else that you think will love it too.
Make sure to follow and subscribe and come sit at our table. There's always room for one more.